Hello, everyone. I am Wayne Johnson with 𝐇𝐎𝐿 Ministries. I'm the best-selling author of the book entitled Every Child Deserves a Father. This is the book. You can find it on Amazon. I'm going to just give us a little time before we actually get started. Maybe about 2-3 minutes. Like to know where everyone is from. And we will just go from there. We'll probably give about 1 or 2, 3 minutes before we get going, or I'm just going to just roll with it as if it's just a regular old video. Hope that everyone out there is enjoying themselves. And just want to make sure I know how to work everything that's on here. Let's see. Don't want to mess with that. Think I got that. It seems like it's pretty basic. It's been a while since I have been on here. And so we'll just go from there. Then people can just come and just see it on the replay later. I know that I must get used to probably doing some of these live. So just want to also, as we wait before we get started, just share a little bit of information to you. One, I don't proclaim to be a prophet, and actually have not been having dreams as of lately. So therefore I have not, I'm not one who have quote unquote the prophetic dreams per se, but I think that this might help some people out there. I kind of sat on it for a little bit, waited for the Lord to share if this should be released. So it's interesting, as we get started doing this, I can remember, and I truly want to thank all of my subscribers. I can remember struggling to get to 100 and 300 and 400, and now to be at about 1,300 subscribers, and just love the love that have shared, and glad that some of the things that I've shared may help, and hoping, of course, that this will help those as well. So let us go ahead and get started. And if people come in, they just come in, and we just back it up if we need to. And if not, we just keep it moving. What a beautiful Saturday morning here. Been out already, very hot, very muggy, but we're going to just enjoy this day nevertheless. So I went to sleep on this particular night. And like I said, I have not been dreaming, or if I have been, I haven't been remembering the dreams. So on this night, I'm dreaming. And as I'm dreaming, I know that in the dream, I'm also asleep. And there's a horn that blows in my backyard. So there's a horn that goes off like a trumpet sound. And I get up, look out the window, and I see two people running from my yard towards the front, because my room is in the back. And so I know that they are now running from the back to the front. So as I go around to look out, I could see where they stopped at, where they went to. And they basically went across the street, not directly across the street, but kind of corner across the street from where I live. So I could see them, even though it was dark. And, even though it's dark outside, people had their lights on. So I could make out that there were two people. So what I did was I came downstairs, and as to scare them, my alarm system is on. So what I did was I opened the door to frighten them. So as I open the door and the alarm goes off, instead of them running away from my house, they came to it. So as they're coming to it, of course, I'm going to shut the door. One of them got in. So I go back up the stairs. And as I go back up the stairs, I call 911. And they answered it. I could tell it was a black male who answered the 911 call. And I explained to them what had happened. And he was already familiar with this thing that had happened. He said that this had happened, several times before, but he will send somebody out anyway. He wasn't alarmed at all. So I end up hanging the phone up with him. And as I do that, I could tell that the person who had got in was running around the house as if they lived here or they were familiar with the place. They were playing. So as I'm coming downstairs and they're running around the house, it ended up being both people inside by now, even though it was one at first. So it was two. And come to find out, they were two white kids. And they were different in age. One was, I'm going to say maybe 7, and the other one was 12. But they were clearly a difference in their height and their age, and they were comfortable running around. So at this point, my mom comes down and investigates with me as well. And what she asked them was, did they want any breakfast to eat? And of course, they said yes. And so my mom and them went into the kitchen, and that was the end of the dream. Now, when I wake up from this dream, I write it down, but I am very, very clueless of what is going on. I mean, just clueless of what's going on. So with that being the case, being clueless of this, I had my apprehension that I was not going to be able to interpret this dream. And I went to God hesitant, but I wanted him to share what this dream meant. And, I had learned some time back that I'm able to interpret dreams, or at least well enough to know in many cases what they mean. But I hadn't done it in a while because I hadn't dreamed in a while. So, and this just didn't seem to make sense to me at all. So let me go into what God shared, because I didn't think that he was going to be able to, or I wasn't going to be able to get the meaning of this dream. So the meaning of this dream, because it had nothing to do with what the meaning came out meaning. So as I'm waking up, I went to sleep, and in the book of Genesis, when God put Adam to sleep, to take out the rib to give to Eve, I was asleep. I was there asleep. And as I was asleep, the dream came in as I'm asleep, and there's a horn that is blown. And I could picture a horn just like, I guess, in, you see in the movies, Roman times, a blowing of a horn. And that horn meant, waking me up. It also says, get ready. Just like when we hear about when Jesus come back, the sounding of the horns will sound. And so that's what I felt. I heard that. I heard that horn, and I woke up, and I knew where it was coming from. And so I got out of my bed and went to the window. And I looked out the window, and I saw two people running. And they're running from my backyard to my front yard, and then across the street to a neighbor's house that's not directly in front of me, but cattle corner to my left. As I'm looking out, I could see them. And to scare them, since I wanted them to be gone, I went downstairs because I knew the alarm was on, and I wanted to have the alarm go off to scare them away. Well, when I did that, they ran towards. And what that was telling me is that people in your life, and this is probably, I thinking, for those who are standing for their spouse, I'm thinking that what this is saying is those who you think your spouse is gone, you got the horn, the announcement that they're coming back. They went from the back to the front. And most of the time when you are greeting people that you don't know, they come through the front door. Now, you think that they're gone, so you cut the alarm on to scare them off, but they come to you because they are trying to come back. It ain't easy for them to come back. You have the alarm on, but you don't disarm the alarm. You just open the door to scare them off. But they don't run off. They come towards. Now, two were running and one got in. Now, I didn't understand why they were two white Caucasian. I still don't understand the two white kids, but I do understand the difference in age. This is probably for someone who their spouse has come back on 2 occasions. The first kid was, I'm going to say 7, and the second kid was about 12. So that spouse has come back at least twice. But then, of course, they left again. So this is going to be the 3rd time. And so they came back in, and the kids was running around the house as I'm calling 911. And I called 911, and the guy on the phone wasn't alarmed. Now, I don't understand why. Hello, Crown. How you doing? I don't understand why. Chi-Town in the house. I don't understand why that he wasn't alarmed because some intruders that came in my house. But he said that he was aware of this. It had been happening. So evidently, this is something that awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so alarmed because it didn't bother him. There's 2 people in my house that don't supposed to be, and he said this has been happening. So evidently, I'm thinking those, and I'm just going to say prodigals, are going to come back or coming back. And there's nothing to be alarmed because this is where they belong in the first place. So I hung up with the 911 dispatcher, and I go down, and they're running around the house. And I'm thinking it was just one guy in, but at this point, both in. So maybe the younger one let the older one in. And I'm thinking the younger one gets in first because that's the first time that your prodigal had came back and left again. And now there's been some time, so there's been some growth from from 7 to 12. There's been some growth, and for them, they have grown some more, and so it comes back again, and they make themselves at home, running around, having fun, doing what they're doing. By now, my mom comes down. And my mom doesn't really panic. My mom offered them, being that it's early in the morning, my mom offered them, are y'all hungry? And she basically offered them breakfast. So her offering them breakfast basically was saying, make yourself at home. Now, that's basically the dream. Now, I couldn't understand that this dream, at the time that I dreamt it and woke up and wrote it down, that this had anything to do with standards, prodigals, restoration of marriage, or anything. But I let God give that to me and work that on me. I've noticed lately, and I even had a dream last night, and I kind of remember some of it in parts. I've asked God to help me with regaining some of that memory, and He has. But I understand that the enemy doesn't want us to remember those dreams because it connects things for us. It's another form of giving us evidence, and it connects things for us. It's another form of giving us evidence. And I've been asking for evidence as of late. And I know that I haven't been hearing a lot. I haven't been receiving a lot, but I understand, because I've been through this before, what this means. That's basically what I dreamt about a week ago. And I just think that it really means that for those of you who are standing for your spouse, that you've had an encounter where your spouse came back, left, came back, and instead of them fleeing, they're going to try to come to you. And it's difficult because you got the alarm on. And it's not just easy to just break in to someone's home when the alarm on. But I didn't shut the alarm off. I actually just opened the door so it could be loud. And our alarm system is loud. But just wanted to share this with you. Hope that this can help and give encouragement, because I know in this stand, it is extremely difficult. And I know all of us who have been in life, we've dealt with things, and we can always say, well, this was tougher than this, and this was tougher than that. But it just seems like everything that happens to us at the moment is actually the toughest thing that we deal with. I remember I've had 2 battles in my life with breaking out in hives every day, all over. And to soothe it, many times I used to have to get into the quote unquote the hot tub just to relax. And I've had 2 bouts of it where both of them last for about a year, taking medication and all. Now I'm trying to understand, this is probably was something that came from the enemy in the first place. And a lot of times when you're not spiritually connected in the way that you need to be spiritually connected, you don't understand all the ins and outs that are going and happening to you. But this is so important for us to understand that God has a plan for us. We need to open up our spiritual ears to be able to hear and receive, especially dreams. And we see throughout God's holy book that interpretation of dreams and how important they were. And many times, when we hear prophetic words, we really want those words to actually happen, shortly thereafter. And the same thing with dreams, but we know that timing not always is the case. I hope that this will help at least one, but I hope that it helps whoever it needs to help, and that God has led me in the right direction for sharing this. I appreciate Crown Jewel, you being on. Didn't remember that you are from Chicago, but I have enjoyed, just a lot of your videos as well. And I thank you for what you're doing, not just for me, but for so many others. And I'm so happy that God has used you in a mighty way. And I hope that God continues to use you and me, and that we help the body of Christ. If there are no questions, I will conclude and close on this. But once again, I say much love, take care, God bless, and I really truly hope that everything that God has for you, that you can receive. Take care, God bless. Thanks again.